Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm just about to bring Gary on. Tonight's show is basically we're going to touch upon the lawful invoking of Article 61. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through. I'm going to read Article 61 and we're going to have a bit of a chat about it. I'm just waiting for Gary to add himself back in and then I shall add him. Bear with me, people. All right, here he is. I'm just going to add Gary now.
Evening, Nathan.
Evening all. This is Gary Clark. Just a little bit background. Myself and Gary Clark many years ago was a member of another movement to which we used Article 61 along with our rights under Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act of 1967 to actually arrest 5 MPs for the crimes of treason under the very guise of Article 61, because at the moment Parliament is treasonous. All Crown servants are acting grievously. And here we get to the point of 61 and how Article 61 can actually solve most of our problems. Shall I start off by reading Article 6? I'll read Article 61 for you, and then we'll have a little discussion about it. Bear with me. Right. This is Clause 61 of the Magna Carta. Now, most people tell you the Magna Carta doesn't exist. It categorically does exist. Myself and Gary have proved numerous times in court that common law and our constitution, i.e. the Magna Carta and other aspects, are actually still in force. We can still use them. It's just the statutory system, i.e. the court system at the moment, don't like to use them because they have no defence against them. So I shall read now Clause 61. In what I'm about to read is Clause 61 of the Magna Carta 1215. These are the parameters that we are allowed to do if we find ourselves in the position of our Queen or Parliament or any Crown servants or anything like that being tyrannous. Here it goes. Clause 61 of the Magna Carta. Clause 61 of the Magna Carta is important as it defines certain God-given and unalienable rights. It reads, "Since for God, for the improvement of our kingdom, and to better allay discord," and to better allay the discord arisen between us and our barons, we have granted all these concessions, and wishing that the concessions be enjoyed in their entirety with firm endurance. You'll find the word in perpetuity in a lot of the document as well. This means forever. We give and grant to the barons the following security, namely that the barons choose any 25 barons of the kingdom they wish, who must with all their might observe and hold, and cause to be observed, the peace and liberties we have granted and confirmed by this our present charter. That indicate that 1215 is the charter, no other. Then, if we, our chief justiciar, our bailiffs, or any of our officials, that means any crown official, courts, police, anything, offend in any respect against a man, or break any articles of the peace or of this security, and the offence is notified to 4 of the said 25 barons, the 4 shall come to us, or our chief justiciar, if we are absent from the kingdom, to declare the transgression and petition that we make amends without delay. And if we, or in our absence abroad, the Chief Justice, have not corrected the transgression within 40 days, reckoned from the day on which the transgression was declared to us, or to the Chief Justice if we are out of the realm, the 4 barons mentioned before shall refer the matter to the rest of the 25 barons, together with the community of the whole land, that means all of us people. They shall then distrain and distress us in any way possible, which means we can use any way we want to distress Parliament or anything they're doing. any of their unlawful actions. Namely, by seizing castles, so we can take castles, we can take basically crown property. Distress us in land, we can take lands, possessions, and in any other they can, saving our own children. So we can't harm the children or take the children, kidnap or anything like that, until redress has been obtained in their opinion. So we decide when redress is done, not the Crown. And when amends have been made, they shall obey us as before. So basically, until they basically placate us and just basically we have what we want. We get redress. That's what we want. And until we are satisfied that we get redress, it's still ongoing. Whoever in the land wants to may take the oath to obey the orders of the 25 barons for the execution of all the previously mentioned matters, and with the barons to distress us to the utmost of his power. Okay, that means anybody. So it doesn't matter if you're a serving member of the army, police force. It doesn't mean if you're a veteran. Anybody can take this oath because you are duty bound. You're upholding the law. So it doesn't matter. In fact, to stay on the Crown side means you're acting in treason and you're actually backing what they're doing. We publicly and freely give permission to everyone, and it is everyone, who wishes to take this oath, and we shall never forbid anyone from taking it. There it is. It's in Article 61. So if you have taken an oath under the army, police, or anything, it doesn't matter. They cannot forbid you to take this. It doesn't matter what. Indeed, all those in the land who are unwilling to this oath, we shall by our command compel them to swear to it. So by law, we compel everybody to swear to it by our command. If any of the 25 barons dies or leaves the country or is in any other manner incapacitated so the previously mentioned provisions cannot be undertaken, the remaining barons of the 25 shall choose another in his place as they think fit, who shall duly be sworn in like the rest. If there is any disagreement amongst the 25 barons on any matter presented to them, or if some of them are unwilling or unable to be present, so it doesn't matter if the barons refuse to do it, it goes anyway. What the majority of those present ordain or command shall be held as fixed and established, exactly as if all 25 had consented to this. Now, there is some people who say that only 4 barons invoked it. That's the 4 barons that has to. But if the other barons didn't want to turn up, it's their tough luck. They're going to have to do it now because it's been agreed and it was invoked. The said 25 barons shall swear to faithfully observe all the aforesaid, that means everything said before, articles, and will do all they can to ensure that the articles are observed by others. And we shall procure nothing from anyone. So they can't take anything from anyone, either personally or indirectly, whereby any part of these concessions and liberties might be revoked or diminished, which means they cannot take this back. Once you enter into lawful rebellion, they cannot take it from you. You have the right to do it. They can't stop you. And if any such thing has been procured, let it be void and null, and we shall never make use of it ourselves or through somebody else. So it means they cannot punish you or take anything from you when you go under Article 61. You are completely and utterly protected under the law. That is Article 61. It is different to the rest of Magna Carta 1215 because that was written for us common people to understand exactly what we can do and how we do it. There is a process that you have to go along to do this. It's a 3-part process. So anybody else with any more than that, they're wrong. The process has actually been there since 1215. The barons invoked this process. You do their process. You do not do any others. You don't make this up. You don't make your own version. You have to obey this process because it's a lawful process by the letter. We've actually released another pack. It's now the full official pack from Constitutional Movement Worldwide. It would include Article 61 declarations that you fill out and you send to your barons. It'll include instruction on how to do it. There is also other parts to this manual that we're doing, i.e. you'll have letters for the TB license, we're going to have a bit in the second part of it that you add to it, because it's a book basically. We're going to build a big book, so it's going to be in certain parts and certain PDFs. All you do is you print them off and you keep them all together. There's going to be many things, but tonight we're mainly going to concentrate on Article 61, which you will find in the CMW official pack. So all you need to do is basically, it would be on CMW Constitutional Movement Worldwide on Facebook. It'll be put in multiple groups in Telegram. I'm hoping to be able to link it to this video. Within the PDF of this pack, you won't just have the written instructions. You're also going to have a video that Gary Clark did himself, where he talks you through going through the process. So whichever way is easiest for you, it will be there. I must stress, like it says in the pack, when you fill out your Article 61 declaration, you keep that original one. You photocopy and you send the photocopies off to people. You don't send the original. You need to keep that, because that is your proof. That is your protection. It proves that you have actually entered into lawful rebellion under Article 61, and you do have the lawful power to act in the way you are. Is there anything you want to add to that, Gary? Sorry, Gary's muted. 2 seconds, Gary.
Can you hear me now, Knife?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, right. Also, when you send it by recorded delivery. You get your recorded delivery slip and you attach it, staple it to the back of your lawful rebellion. So that's your proof that you've entered lawful rebellion, and that's your proof you've sent it. It becomes the post office's responsibility then, whether the baron gets it and signs for it or not, or even if he doesn't sign for it. You've done all you need to do by saying, if you don't get a reply, it doesn't matter. I never had a reply, but I'm in lawful rebellion because I've got that proof of posting. It becomes onto but obviously they're not going to reply to everybody. When people start bombarding them with letters, they'll sign for them off the postman, but they're not going to answer every single one. All you need to know is whether it's been signed for or not.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. The barons deal with most of this. All you need to do is fill out your declaration. That's the first part. You fill out your declaration. You send that to the baron that's addressed on the declaration. As Gary said, send it recorded delivery. Then you have proof that you sent it and it was received. That means after that, you'll get a receipt with it. What you do is you take that receipt and you staple it to the top of your declaration so it covers your details. So you can lift it up basically and still see your details. And that is your proof. Within that document, you'll have not only proof that you're in lawful rebellion, but proof you sent it. Once you've sent it, that's it. You're in lawful rebellion. That's the start. There's 2 other bits to this process, no more. The next one is the affidavit of truth. You send this 30 days later, and this is an affidavit of truth. So basically, you are telling the barons and any, like the Crown, the police, council, anyone you send this to, that's your affidavit of truth, and you send it to them, basically saying, this is my truth. Unless they can rebut it, it stands, and they won't be able to rebut it because it's not possible.
Yeah. And then the last one is a claim of rights.
Yep. And that is exactly what it says on the tin. You are now claiming your right under Article 61 to lawfully seize castles, take possession, seize lands, and completely distress and distrain Parliament. Also, part of Article 61 that you have to do is you have to remove all taxes. So once you enter into Article 61, you don't pay tax, because in a nutshell, what it is you are then still funding the tyranny. So you are part of it. So you don't vote, you don't pay tax, you don't do anything. Anything the Crown wants you to do, you don't do, because under Article 61, you've undergone what you call diffidatio. Okay, that's to do with your fealty, your allegiance. You have taken your allegiance from the Crown and their servants, which are acting treasonously and against the people, and you're putting it with the barons. So the Crown, Crown has no say over you. That means that any statutes or acts or anything that Parliament tries to enact, they do not apply to you. The only thing that applies to you and the only thing that can be used against you is the law of the land. So as long as you're not hurting anybody, you're not committing loss or anything like that, you're fine.
I mean, did you play the video at the beginning, Nathan?
I did, yes.
Yeah, well, if everybody watched the video at the beginning, you'll see that since 2001, we haven't actually got a legal parliament at all. It shouldn't actually be there. They are treasonous.
Yeah, it's not legal or lawful. It's actually, in law, it's classed as a tumultuous assembly, which is an unlawful
Yes,
assembly.
exactly. So everything you need, and this country, well, our country, the UK, is unique because it's the only country really that our forefathers had the foresight and the forethought to see what had been done to them, and they knew that these was going to do it again. So they made sure it was put in. So if ever they tried it, which they have done basically every 300 or 400 years to try it, but we always push them back with Article 61 and lawful rebellion, and we're going to do it again. We can do it again, and we'll do it again in another 200-300 years if they try. That's what it's there for. Use the tools that your ancestors left for you to sort it out. You haven't got to be violent. You haven't got to hit the street and start smashing stuff up. You just do it lawfully and peacefully. And them will be the ones who'll come running, because you get 66 million people, or even if you get 40 million, that's over half. You get over half of the people, like you did with Brexit, not adhering to anything that the Crown says. They're going to have to listen.
Yeah. Well, it's like Gary's just said there. 1215 wasn't when the rights that we have now was established. Every couple of hundred years we have to reaffirm our rights, because what happens is people get complacent, the Crown starts bit by bit taking them away from us, and it gets to the point where we have to fight to get them back again. And basically this is what's happening now. We are back under. We are back into the point where, because a lot of people will sit there and say that, oh, but there's nothing we can do. We can do it. Problem is, I mean, most people don't understand. Me and Gary, we was with the White Pen Dragons at first, and then we left and we co-founded Constitutional Movement Worldwide. Myself and Gary have been doing this for some years now. Some years we've been pushing Article 61 and the Constitution, common law, lawful solutions, and we've both had successes in court. So when people sit there and think that the courts don't uphold this, they don't accept it, they do. You just have to do it in the right way. And this is what we try to teach, because there's many out there that don't bother to learn how to do it properly. They just run off and they think you just say a couple of keywords and it works. It doesn't. You have to do this properly. That's why this lawful process has to be done properly, otherwise it's not effective.
And it's all in the wording. I mean, we've seen some of the wording that some of the people have put out. They've tried to do their own, and the wording is atrocious. It's going to get you in a serious trouble.
I mean, this is the thing. This is what we've been pushing for a number of years now, a decade or more. The fact that the barons have already invoked this. The process is already there. Nobody should or needs to make up their own version of the process. The process is very easy. It's a 3-step process. Declaration, affidavit of truth, claim of right, sent 30 days apart from each other. Once you've done that, you're in full lawful rebellion. There is no need for anything else. No need for anything else.
And once you've done it, you feel loads better, ladies and gentlemen, because you feel like you're actually doing something. Once they're all in rebellion and the Barons act, you'll be surprised how quickly this will all come tumbling down once there's enough people in rebellion. But obviously, they ain't going to do it for 100, 200,000 people, because there's 66 or 68 million people in the country. So, you know, you've got to have a fair few million in rebellion for it to happen. But it's whether you've got the backbone and whether you've got the courage to do it for your children. But if you lose the fear, you ain't got to worry about anything, because they can't touch you, like Nathan says. Once you're in full rebellion, there's nothing they can do to you, because you're doing everything lawfully and legally and by the Constitution as is laid out in the Magna Carta for your protection. You haven't got anything, you haven't tried to go off and do your own thing. You followed it to the letter, and there's nothing they can do once you've done that. Nothing.
No, because you've obeyed the law. Because when the barons petitioned the Queen, she had 40 days to reply. Her assistant replied on the 40th day, and basically, in a nutshell, we go ahead with Article 61. So by law now, under Article 61 and by the Magna Carta, by law now, you are now being compelled by the Queen to do your constitutional duty. You would some would argue that the Queen is being held to ransom. She's been kidnapped. That's why she isn't upholding a constitutional duty. So it is our duty to now take them people to account, free our Queen, and make sure that our Constitution and all our unalienable rights are reinstalled in full. This is the way we do it, people, without a civil war, without bloodshed, because our ancestors shed millions and millions and millions of lives to get this done. But the reason why this clause is here is to stop the bloodshed, so we don't have to have a civil war where millions of people die. We can do this very peacefully, by law, with ourselves protected, and we can do it. But as Gary says, it may not take a couple of minutes, but it does take a bulk of us enough. Because we under 61, we become the Baron's army. That's another reason why you can't keep funding Parliament and the rest of them, because you're basically giving money to the opposition. So you're paying the opposite side your money so they can gather resources against you. We don't do that. That's not what you do under Article 61. You can't back treason.
And the other thing we need to set straight here, Nathan, a lot of people think that when the Queen dies, the Constitution or the monarchy dies. No, it's the office that we deal with. It's the office, the person who is the king or the queen at the time. It carries on. It's not, if you know what I mean. Some people think, well, what's the point? Because once the Queen dies, they're going to scrap the monarchy. They cannot do that.
No, we have what you call a constitutional monarchy. So it's the monarchy. So it's the position that is held. It's not the man or woman that sits in the seat, but it is the position itself that we address. So it doesn't matter.
A bit like Prime Minister. A bit like the Prime Minister. It doesn't matter who's Prime Minister at the time. There's a Prime Minister. Like, it doesn't matter who's a king or queen. You've got a king or a queen. It's the position, the monarch.
Yep, that's why every single king or queen has to swear an oath under the coronation oath before they can take the crown, because that's their oath to take. I mean, most constables or anybody who served in the army will know this. You have to take an oath to be able to be put in your office. So you take an oath of office. So it's your oath that allows you to act in that capacity, and that is exactly what happens to any person, man or woman, that takes the throne. They have to undergo an oath, and the only oath higher than Article 61 is actually that under the coronation oath of the Queen. Any oath other than that, whether it be in the army, police, anything like that, is lower than Article 61. And this is the reason why, because Article 61 basically puts you on par with the monarchy. As Magna Carta actually reaffirmed, nobody is above the law. And it's Article 61 that states that. And it's Article 61 that proves that. Nobody is above the law, not even the Queen. And this is how we address the Queen, and we get redress, and we do it lawfully. And as we keep saying, without the bloodshed. There is no need for civil war. All you need to do is fill out a couple of forms and send them off, and then we can start acting. Because then the barons can then lead us, and then we can start taking the country back. Because it's the barons that actually take control of the running of the country. I mean, technically speaking, all they're going to do, we all run the country. It's the lorry drivers, the shopkeepers, that lot. These are the people that actually run the country. All the barons are going to do is oversee it. The barons are constitutionally bound, so they have to abide by our rights, our liberties, and our freedoms. And their job is to then make sure the Queen comes back in, obeys our constitutional rights, her obligations to it, and everything like that. That's how we do it.
And also, people keep going on about, the migrant crisis, the migrant crisis. You can also sort this under Article 61, because that is unlawful. It goes against the Constitution, and again, they're being treasonous and tyrannous. So you can go into Article, while you're in Article 61, you might as well get that sorted at the same time. It's that simple, and it can be done.
And this is the thing, it is that simple, and everybody can, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's loads of arguments, but it doesn't matter if you call yourself from the left, the far right, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because under Article 61, we're all the same. So there is no differentiation between anybody. Nobody is higher than anybody else. But under Article
Yeah.
61, for instance, we've got a lot of veterans and serving members of the military. If they go into Article 61, then it is our duty to rely on their training and their capability to help us. So it's not that they're higher than us, but we do give way because in certain
And the
ways
other
they will
things,
be better trained than us to do things.
and the other thing that's unique and brilliant about Article 61 is, unlike your movements, it cannot be infiltrated by anybody, because sovereignty when they're doing it. So this is brilliant in itself because it cannot be infiltrated by anybody.
No, exactly right. Because if we do get what Gary
Yeah,
said,
Knife.
if we do get infiltration, like Gary says, then they will be breaching their oath and they can be imprisoned. They will be actually committing a crime to do so. Can't be done.
Yeah.
This is a lawful process and it's very rigid. Under this process as well, we get our constitution back, and it's our constitution that is our main protector, because a lot of people don't understand this, but the Queen, Parliament, and all Crown servants, beyond all else, beyond any Parliament statutes or acts, all of them are bound by the constitution. All of them, like a constable, they're meant to be constitutionally able. Most of them are not. But this is how we do it. We take the country back. And then once we actually take the country back, we hand it to the barons. But then what we do is we sort out all the unlawful and all the treasonous actions that they have committed, i.e., a lot of people have asked us about people invading our country. Under the Constitution, we can stop that and we can have that addressed. So basically, we can do away with that and have it all undone. Anything that is constitutionally repugnant is void, so we just strike it. So once this happens, it's like all the things that are against our constitution, against our rights, it's void. It goes. It's like it never happened. This is the reset, people. This is how we reset back to our laws, our culture, and we get things back to how it was when we had the golden rule, i.e., things like not murdering your neighbour and stuff like that. But the constitution is actually the lawful solution. Like I said, without bloodshed, without civil war, it's the lawful solution. The only, and most people know this, the only thing that ever changes in our realm, it changes by law, not statute, not act, not regulation, by law. And this is how we use law to reset. So anything the government or the Crown has agreed to that is unlawful and is against our constitution, once we invoke Article 61 and it is established and the Barons Act, everything becomes void. So it's like it never happened. So everything
And this is
between
where,
grooming gangs, other things like that, it all goes because it's all unlawful.
and this is where you get your common law back into the country. Under your constitution, it reinstates the common law, which we've lived by for hundreds of years and was perfectly fine till it got started getting messed with. All that will be reinstated under Article 61, and it'll just go back to a much better system. Like Nathan said, as long as you don't cause any loss, harm, or injury, and under loss can be fraud as well. We used to say no loss, no harm, no injury, no fraud, but fraud really comes under loss. So as long as you cause no loss, harm, or injury to another man or woman, that's all you've got to worry about.
It technically the fraud part comes under being deceptive in your undertakings. It's an add-on to it, and because fraud become part of that later on. But the different people, I'll give a brief explanation of common law for you and why common law is different to legislation. Because I was recently sent a video as well with a few people, of a woman that went to court with a man who was claiming common law, and they actually claimed that the Human Rights Act was common law. It's not. It's primary legislation, and that's all you need to know there. Legislation is not law. Okay, if it's a law, it's called a law. Okay, statutes, acts, legislation, regulations, they're not laws. They are not laws. Okay. Laws, I think Alfred, this is going back a bit now, a bit of history for you. I think Alfred, when he invoked his Doom Law book, stated it best. Law is unmovable. It will be the same forever. It never changes. So, i.e., murder will always be repugnant. So there's laws against it, and they will never change. Whereas legislation and what Parliament does, it's ever changing, so it can never be a law because it can never stand. Look, the supremacy is law, act, statute. Statute is the lowest, then it's act, and then law is the highest. So law overrules any act or statute. Any act or statute that is repugnant to law or the Constitution is void. They can't use it. That's where we come in with
That's
Article
why,
61, because we cut it out in one.
yeah, exactly. That's why when you go into Article 61, you cannot do anything more. You cannot be in a better position because you are acting lawfully. You are reinstating what you're supposed to reinstate. And as long as, like I say, we can get enough people into it, it can happen, ladies and gentlemen. And this can be our great reset. Let's reset things the way we want instead of the way they're trying to push us. All this stuff, what they've been doing with the vaccines and that, it's all unlawful and it's all treasonous. It goes against your inalienable rights. It will all come out and they'll be charged with. This will all be sorted if everybody does go into 61.
Well, it's exactly as you say. Take the what's happening with a certain thing. I'm not going to say it because the video will probably get taken down. But you take certain things that happen now that a lot of people call genocide. Under our constitution, once that's reinstated, our constitution protects our common laws. Under common law, you cannot do no harm to another. So whether it be hitting someone, injecting someone with something, if that is harmful, then it's contrary to common law. It is a crime, therefore it ceases immediately.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
Danny West,
you know,
yes, common law does help with council tax because any tax that goes to government, any tax that goes to Parliament becomes unlawful once you enter into Article 61. Therefore, you have the right and the duty under Article 61 to withhold all unlawful taxes. So any tax that Parliament is installed becomes unlawful.
Yeah. But like I say, you can't just say you're in lawful rebellion. You have to prove it.
Yeah,
For it to be lawful.
Yeah. And this is why we've done the manual. There is other people done, but this is why we've done the manual. We've stuck to the official lawful process. The manual tells you every step of the way. Once you do that and you've recorded every step and you've sent it to the right people, the proof is there. They can't act against you. I've just read Article 61 out. As you said, they cannot take anything from you. They cannot act against you for doing so because it is your lawful right. It would be unlawful and unconstitutional for them to actually act against you. Therefore, they become treasonous and they become the criminal, and we can act against them.
Yeah.
And
but the only reason I said that, Nathan, mate, is because you're going to get people who will just be too lazy to fill everything in. They'll just find the council tax example and say, "Oh, I'm in lawful rebellion," blah blah blah. Well, you are committing just as bad an offence if you're not doing it correctly and you just claiming to be in lawful rebellion, but you're not, because you can get in some serious trouble yourself.
Well, it's fraud to begin with. It's fraud.
Yeah.
So you can't do it. I mean, to do tax and everything like that, or to do anything like that, you have to have all the documentation. You have to send the documentation in the time frame to the right authorities to actually enact your rights. You can't just say you're in lawful rebellion. You can't just do it. If you haven't done the full process, you're not going to have the protection. That's why a lot of people think they just fill out the declaration. And yes, you technically are in lawful rebellion. That started, but you have a duty to complete that process. You started it, so you are in lawful rebellion, but you have to complete it. Once you completed it, then you act. Then you can start acting against Parliament. As it says in Article 61, you can do anything in your power to distrain and disdain.
So, let's do it, people. At the end of the day, what you got to lose?
Exactly. This is the thing. All this is putting paper to pen. As they do say, pen is mightier than the sword. This will do a lot more than civil war, I can tell you now. And this is the reason why we have this, is so to stop millions of people losing their lives in a civil war. And the Constitution, again, myself and Gary have been doing this for many, many years. We're actually some of the people that took a long time to actually try and uncover a lot of our constitution because it was very well hidden. I mean, this is many, many years ago, way before. I mean, back in 2018 was when Gary, myself, and a few others actually arrested Sadiq Khan, Keir Starmer, Kate Green, and a couple of other MPs, and we actually went as far as proving the evidence of their treason to the police, to the point where the police backed our crime and put it to CPS. The only reason why that didn't go through is because there wasn't enough of us that backed that. So, more basically, in a nutshell, more people voted for Sadiq Khan than had actually sent a letter in to state that they want that investigation, they want it to go to court. And that's where we fall down. It's not a case of going on Facebook and having a rant. You've actually got to write these letters and send them off, and it is actually very easy. It's 3 notice, it's 3 parts, and you send them off 30 days apart. So all you need is 3 envelopes, 3 stamps. That's it. And once you do that, then you can act. And me and Gary, we co-founded Constitutional Movement Worldwide as an educational movement. So we are here to educate you on what you can and can't do, how to go about it, and how to do certain processes. Most of them will be, bear with me 1 second. As I said before, we have actually created, it's a manual, basically. And in this manual, you'll have the process to enter into Article 61. You'll have notices to stop your TV license. There's going to, in the second part, that you print off and add, because it's a booklet basically. This is going to build up a very big book. So all you do is you take the notices and the letters that we give you out of your pack, you photocopy them, you fill them out, and send the copies to wherever you need them. So basically, we're going to try and give you everything you need to be able to act in a very fast and speedy manner, and hopefully join us all, and we can actually make a change. But anything you need will be in this pack. There will be sections released bit by bit, and then all you do is you just print them off and add them to your pack, and then you'll have basically a big manual of how to navigate your common law and constitutional rights, and how you actually deal with institutions who are trying to stop you from doing so.
It also help you to protect your children when you go into Article 61, because it protects your children as well, ladies and gentlemen.
As it says there, they cannot take anything from you, and they can't use it against you. I mean, there's a lot in Article 61 that gives you protection. At the moment, me and Gary have been around for that many years. Before we went and arrested Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer, and just to state one thing, that was one of our first wins. I mean, Keir Starmer was the head of CPS, head of Department of Public Prosecutions, and he was a barrister. Yet our paperwork was 100% perfect. We proved evidence of their crimes to the point where the police said there was a case and they put it to CPS. It's just people did not back it. We can still do this, people, as well. We can still have these people arrested. In the Lawful Rebellion Pack there is a letter that you send off to the police station. If enough people send it, they will open that case again. They will have to put it back to CPS. But
it was that perfect to the point. Our paperwork was that perfect to the point that when we went with the second lot of paperwork with sedition and treason, it was like a hot potato. Nobody wanted it.
Yep, to the point where that was Scotland Yard, because me and Gary and myself actually went to Scotland Yard and petitioned Crescinda Dick at the beginning of the lockdown, and not one single constable would even touch the paperwork. They would not have it in their hand. They wouldn't touch it. In fact, there's videos where they say, "We're not taking that," because they didn't want to. They say they knew we was coming. They knew who we were, and they refused to take liability for our paperwork. We can do it in other ways, but I mean, we just needed to show you that our paperwork's 100%, and it scares the establishment. I mean, some people.
We wanted to show the corruption, Nathan, that they wouldn't actually take it. That's what we wanted to do, and we proved our point.
Yeah, that's it. And another reason why we've been fighting in courts for the last 3-4 years to prove our rights, to prove our constitution, is to prove the corruption. Because it is there. They're just trying to find ways to ignore it, but they can't ignore it. They can't deny it, and that's the thing. And when enough people stand up, they will be forced to. They'll have no choice. They'll be forced to actually have to run with this. But this is the thing. It's about the paperwork stuff like that. Our paperwork, it works. I mean, a lot of people out there have taken the CMW notice to the schools, because we've had a lot of feedback from that. A lot of people said they've tried a lot of ways of putting schools on notice and stuff like that, and it never worked. And then they've got hold of our notice, which is a lawful notice, which is pretty much straight and to the point. And they got response straight away because they used their rights and they used the law, and they can't go against it.
Look, since we've been doing this, Nathan, the government have gone from the Constitution doesn't exist at all to it does exist, but only these 4 points are relevant at this moment in time, because they know we're onto them and they know they cannot. It's treasonous to say the Constitution doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So they get around it by saying, "Oh well, it exists, but only these four clauses are relevant." No, it's all relevant. It's just we have to uphold it.
Well, see, this is the thing. A lot of other groups, a lot of people won't know this, but there was a very dedicated little group of us because we didn't agree with the wording on the government website. It used to say in force. There's only 4 clauses in force. They've changed it, and they've changed it, keep changing it back. It's like they either use the word valid. So in other words, there's only 4 clauses which the court seems valid, which is basically saying it's all in force, but we only see these as valid. But that means you've got to go and invoke the others to override theirs, because theirs is only statutes. It's on their statute books. Yeah. I mean, law comes above their statutes. Yeah. So they've had to change the wording, even on their own gov site, to only 4 clauses are in force to only 4 clauses are valid. And we keep saying to people, it's all about the wording. Myself, Gary, and many others. There is other groups out there fighting just as well. I'd like to say thank you to all of them as well. Keep up the good fight. But there's many of us who actually been for many years now doing a concerted effort to basically reinstate our rights and to show you people that yes, they are there, they are in force. We have court orders that quite clearly state that these things do exist and they are in force. We have a video where a chief superintendent of Metropolitan Police states that they are all in force. Gary himself is not long ago just won a case involving his house under common law. It was common law that actually won that case. Common law is there. A lot of people go to court and they basically state it wrong. You have to use the right wording. You have to enact your rights properly. You can't just go there and go, I don't consent, this, that, and this, that, because it doesn't work. You've got to do it properly. And this is why we're building the Constitutional Movement Worldwide Manual, is because it's going to show you how to do these processes properly and lawfully.
It really is all in the wording. They'll twist your wording. And if your wording's spot on and it means what it says and says what it means, and it cannot be interpreted any other way, that's how you win. Because they go, because they cannot change it, they cannot weasel out of it, and that's how you got to word the things when you put when you put your statements in that in.
Well,
when you say something, when you if you write a lesson, you put, for instance, like we've seen today. I understand some of the wrongs. Now, you are then saying, I'll stand under some of those wrongs. So you are then giving them leeway to nail you.
Yeah, you're basically saying, you're basically saying, I am standing under some of these treasonous actions. Like I say, it's all the wording. This is why our pack is worded in a way where they can't do that. They can't interpret wording because it's grammatically correct. Same as the notice of schools, it's grammatically correct. There's no interpretation there. Because a lot of people don't realise, I mean, there's still people out there that are trying to use the Constitution in line with politics and things like that. Since 2001, politics is treasonous, it's unlawful. So anybody trying to get into politics, anybody trying to push politics is actually acting in treason. You're actually breaking the law, and treason is our highest law. So the highest law in the books, they are breaking. So don't listen to politicians. Don't listen to wannabe politicians. And there is a lot of people to sit there and say that we need independence. Well, the only way we're going to get independence into Parliament is to use 61, reset the system. Then we can have general elections where we can actually have independence put in. It is too difficult to remove the people in office by trying to vote people in. It's going to take too long. We haven't got that long. It takes too long. It's too hard. This is the quick way. This is the proper way to do it. I mean, a lot of people
Well,
don't realise.
It'll never happen anyway, neither, because what you've got to understand, you've got in America, it's a deep state. Over here, in the UK, it's the shadow governments. You got puppets. All you are, if you go in there, you're the puppets, because they just say to you, no, this is how it's going to be. Here's your contract. Here's what you're going to be doing the next 4 years. Otherwise, you won't last 5 seconds. You'll be gone within 2-3 weeks, because we'll have a rebellion in your party, blah, blah, blah. You won't be Prime Minister much longer. And that's how it happens. That's how it's done. To get rid of that, you've got to have a complete reset. Get rid of the shadow government who's pulling all the strings.
Exactly. Reinstate our constitutions. They have to be bound by it, because it's our constitution that binds Parliament. I mean, as Gary says, it's the problem. There is a shadow government. Basically, research the remembrancer. The remembrancer in Parliament, because technically speaking, is the only voice that's heard, and that's because he speaks for the City of London. He speaks for commerce, for businesses. And at the moment, the wants and needs of businesses are being overheard over us. So we need to actually stand up and say, no, we come first. And then it'll happen. And this is the problem. Myself and Gary have been doing this for many, many years. We've tried all the legal ways, petitioning, all stuff like that. It doesn't work. It's a dead end. And doing so, all you're doing is just basically aiding and abetting treason. You're going along with them. The only way to stop this and to change things is to actually come away and actually use our sovereignty. And that's what we do. People use our sovereignty. We take it away from the crown. We give it to the barons, so the power then lies with the barons. It doesn't lie with the crown. A lot of people don't realise, if you don't stand up and do something, you're actually agreeing to what they do. So you are complicit. So unless you fill in this paperwork, unless you actually do what you need to, you're actually going along with it. Going on Facebook or signing a petition is not solving the problem. You are doing a parliamentary process. So you're doing a process Parliament are allowing you to. Parliament has no say over Article 61. Under Article 61 was invoked for perpetuity, and you'll find that in Clause 1, which is still on the statute books, even though they've tried to rewrite it. But Clause 1, Clause 61 and Clause 63 all pertain to the fact that Magna Carta 1215 is there in perpetuity. So that is the only document that can stand for the test of time forever. The later Magna Cartas are statutory instruments that the king made up, that he said you can use this if you like. It's a choice, and this is what people don't realise. It's your choice to use their Magna Carta, therefore statutes, or you can use the very document that millions of people died for, so you could be free.
That's it, basically, in a nutshell. It's whether you've got the governance, ladies and gentlemen. We can do this. It's whether you've got the courage and the conviction to stand up for your children, because it's them who are going to suffer.
Yep. Just to thing, Rude Awakening just said, can we confirm this helps all of us, no matter what race, colour, British born, regardless? Yes. Article 61, apart from Canada, because Canada used the Westminster Statute to actually enact their own constitution. So they've done away with a constitution that had Magna Carta in it that protected them, and they've invoked their own. So Canada is now aside from Magna Carta. But anybody else in the Commonwealth, whether you're Australian or anything like that, you have the right to enter into lawful rebellion, because the Queen still is the pighead of your country. You are still under technically royal rule. You come under the Commonwealth. So anybody can. It doesn't matter what race, what colour, what creed. If you are within the parameters, i.e. born of any of these countries, you have the right to go into Article 61 for all of us, and it will not affect your benefits. It will not affect your job. Whether you're in the army, police, it doesn't affect the oath you've made, because it's a higher oath. It's actually aside from the oath of office you took. So no, it doesn't. It's there for everybody. And this is a lot of what people got to realise. You can't pick and choose. Okay, the Constitution is there for everyone. It protects everybody. Everyone has the right to use it.
So what we'll do now, if we'll leave it there, because we've rattled on a bit now, we'll do on Sunday or Monday, and we'll do the next one in the process, Affidavit of Truth, if you want.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Well, yeah, the next one, what we do, the next one, we'll talk you through the process that we've got in our manual. And the manual will be released very shortly. Like I said, you've got the written instructions, and you'll also have a video done by our Gary Clark himself, which talks you through doing the process. So whichever way is easier for you, it will be in the PDF. So pick it up, get it done. Let's take our country back. Let's stop our Parliament from doing what they're doing. Let's stop Parliament from acting treasonously, allowing us to be governed by a foreign body like the EU or the Economic World Forum. Let's stop them from agreements like the Barcelona Declaration, which means we no longer have freedom of religion because they guarantee that a certain religion or a certain ideology is going to be accepted. And this is part of what we can do away with the Constitution. The government signed up to the Barcelona Declaration, 1995, I think it is, or 1998. And in that declaration, our government guaranteed the acceptance of Islam. And they said that they will use media, laws, in fact, any means necessary. And that should worry you, because they've said that they will make laws to make sure that we have to accept Islam. Even though
we don't.
Exactly, because it's not that we don't like Muslims. It's not that. It's the ideology we have a problem with, because within the ideology of Islam, as well as many other things that are happening at the moment, most of the things that in their ideology that they see as a right to them is actually constitutionally repugnant. It's against our laws, which means in our realm, on our lands, it cannot be done because it's against the law.
And please, ladies and gentlemen, let this sink in, please. Stop using the Human Rights Act.
Yes.
It's an act. It's been brought in because your inalienable rights cannot be touched. So they've edged everyone away from your inalienable rights, put the Human Rights Act there, which, like Nathan says, can be open to interpretation. So you ditch that. You don't stand under the Human Rights Act ever. You stand under your God-given, born, inalienable rights to life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. Oh, sorry, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, exactly what Gary
basically it.
Exactly what Gary says. I mean, the Human Rights Declaration of 1998 has been a couple. The Human Rights Declaration has what you call preamble. Basically, it's a bit of writing before you actually get into your rights and the declaration. There's actually a thing called the preamble. Okay, so it's kind of a precursor to the document. It actually says in the preamble, it tells you everything you need to know. It actually states that the rights that are in that declaration are only to be taken into consideration. And the reason why they've done that is because they cannot override your unalienable rights. But what they've done is the UN are the creators of the Human Rights Act. What they've done is they've put a few things in that you think that's really, really good. So you uphold it. Unfortunately, that's treasonous because the UN cannot control us because it's a foreign body. Okay, we cannot be controlled by anybody other than our parliament, our monarchy, and our parliament cannot be controlled by anybody else other than the monarchy. So the UN, World Economic Forum, the EU cannot control our parliament. That's why entering into the EU ECA Act was unlawful. We've actually been under treason since 1973.
And it also tells you in the preamble about your right to rebellion, funny enough.
That is exactly it. Even the Human Rights Act actually states that you have the right to rebel. All what's happened is they've taken our inalienable rights and everything we have, and they've tricked you to go by this document. So this declaration, you go, right, I'm going to uphold my human rights. But when you get to court, they only have to take it into consideration. So they can just dismiss the Human Rights Act and just prosecute you for whatever crime they think you've committed. But under your unalienable rights, they are rights. It's not a privilege, it's a right. So they cannot take that away from you. Your unalienable rights can't be sold, taken, or transferred. So not a court, not a judge, not parliament, not the Queen. Nobody can take these rights away from you. They was given to you the moment you sparked life in this world, the moment you become a sentient being in this world. They are yours. You can't even get rid of them. All you can do is be tricked to go by the Human Rights Act. And that's what they're trying to do. They basically put everything in there so it sounds close enough to our unalienable rights that you believe that it will benefit you. But if you read the preamble, it states quite clearly only to be taken into consideration. So you're going to act thinking that you're going to be protected, but you're not. There was no protection in the beginning. They're going to blame you because they're going to say should have read the preamble. It states quite clearly that these are not rock solid. Okay, your
Well,
unalienable
I'm going to
rights are rock solid.
say
They
this
cannot
last
be
thing, Nathan, and
damaged.
I've got to go.
Mm.
Right, but this is how important it is, ladies and gentlemen. What's the first thing the courts will have you do before you give evidence? They make us put your hand on the Holy Bible and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Do they not?
Well, they've left the "so help you
And,
God" bit out now.
well, you know what I mean, but it's to make you swear on the Bible anyway, or swear you'll tell the truth. It used to be the Bible. But so that's that's them saying to you, God exists.
Yep.
So unless they are now claiming to be God, they cannot touch your inalienable rights. Cannot.
No. They're the same with us and our children. There is no higher authority than the Creator. So
No.
anything that is created, the sentient entity that created it is the highest authority. There is no higher
Exactly.
authority.
So get yourselves into Article 61, ladies and gentlemen, and protect your children more than anything.
Mm.
So we'll leave it there, Nathan, and we'll see you again on Sunday or Monday, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll do another one on the affidavit of truth.
Yeah, we'll probably go over the whole process just quickly again, just so people can get used to it. Okay. Right. Thank you for tuning, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Good night.
Yeah.
Stay
Stay
safe.
safe, ladies and gentlemen. Love every single one of you, and we only do this because we love you and we want you to save our children.
Oh, and
That's
by
why
the
we
way,
do this.
and just so that you know, everything we do, our PDF, our packs, everything is free. You don't pay for anything. It's
Now,
all free.
you download it and print it off yourselves.
Yep. Everything we do is for the
It's
common
free.
man, so you don't have to pay anything for advice or anything we do. It's all done for free. We are for the people. We are not for commerce, and we are not for getting rich. It is only
No.
together, people, we can do this. You're never going to get one person or one group get this country back and reset everything. It's going to take each and every single one of you that's listening to this now to do
And like we've said,
your duty and take part in this.
and like we've always said, it's not our idea. It's the
Nope.
Constitution. The
Yep.
Constitution, like we've said, has always and will always be the solution. We're just using the tools that our ancestors have left us. It's not our idea. So for all these people think, oh, why should we give it your idea? It's not our idea, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's our ancestors' fantastic forethought and foresight that's put us here where we are, with this opportunity to get our country back for our children lawfully and peacefully. And anybody who doesn't want to do that, well, I don't know what's in your head if you don't want to do it that way.
As Gary said, is exactly right. This process has been the same process for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's been used over and over again. We are not one of these groups who want to make up our own version because it won't work. This is not something we've dreamt up. All we've done is we're just getting the information, and our aim in CMW is to educate. So we're not calling for groups to come under us and us lead them. We're calling for groups to learn. And we can teach you for that. And then once you've learned, you can act in your own capacity in your own groups. All we ask is you come to the table, you learn the right process, we do the right process so it will work, and then we can go on from there. Like Gary says, this is not our process. All we've done is we've just basically pulled out the process that we go to the letter, to the law that protects us all.
Just like the last time it was used in the 400 years ago, I think was the last time we had to do it. Who remembers the names of the people involved? Nobody. All they remember is the Magna Carta and the Constitution in Article 61 got the country back. And that's all that's going to be remembered again. And that's all we want to be remembered. We ain't bothered about any names in lights. We just want our country back for our children. That's all we want. And our future generations.
And as we said, no
So,
one person and no group is going to be able to do this. It's going to take every single one of us standing together, shoulder to shoulder. So each and every single one of you out there is just as powerful as me and Gary. You're just as much part of it as me and Gary. We'll be there shoulder to shoulder. We will not be in front of you. We'll be there next to you, shoulder to shoulder. And that's how it should be. All right,
well,
we'll
you
leave
won't
it
have to
there.
go anywhere. Well, you know, for hopefully, all you'll be doing is, like you said, you'll go into rebellion with all your taxes and everything, and you'll starve the beast of funding.
Exactly. If they haven't got our
And you've
money
got,
that
and
they're
you've got,
wasting, they're
yeah.
throwing our money all around the world at the moment. Like, I mean, while we've got homeless vets, we've got homeless people on the streets, we've got families who are doing food banks, we've got families who are basically starving to death. We've got old age pensioners that are still at this point in our society, in our life, are having to choose between heat or eat, and it's getting worse for them. So we need to stop paying
And
this
don't
government
forget,
our money so they can keep paying everybody else. Let's
and
start
don't
getting our
forget,
country sorted.
yeah, and don't forget, we could maybe get the balance to do an audit of the books and actually see where the money has gone, these trillions and trillions of pounds of debt that we're in. Find out where the money's actually gone. I bet there'll be a few fingers in the poison in a few bank accounts that shouldn't be. And we can do all that as well under 61.
Yep, that is true, because if it is found out that they have profiteered, i.e. profiteering, that is profiting off of someone else's tragedy. If we do find that they've actually made money off of what they're doing, then all their wealth will be subject to being taken to repay back what they owe. So all these millionaires that are sitting in Parliament, they may land up bankrupt and having all their houses taken to repay back the people the money they stole. But we have to get our constitution back. We have to get our laws back so we can hold them account and do this.
So when instead of Boris Johnson coming on the other day saying we're putting forward legislation where we can strip your assets, let's get into 61 and let's strip all theirs and let's make them poor.
They're the ones that committed the crime. They're the ones that have got proceeds from their crimes. It's our money, not theirs. There is no such thing as government money. It's taxpayers' money. So it's all your money they're stealing, all your money they're giving to other countries. I mean, let's face it, we've been giving Pakistan loads of money, and all they've done is buy nuclear submarines with it. It isn't going to aid people. They are building a world army. We've got to stop.
Well, look at all the money they've given Africa, and all it's done is done the palaces up for the kings. But none of it's gone to where it should do, to, you know, children's aid and what have you in Africa. Johnny still ain't got his well built, has he?
No. Well, this is another thing as well. Yes, sorry, 2 seconds. Yes, Pandora's Box Investigations has got a lot of information, and we are really looking forward to hopefully working with Pandora's Box within the paperwork and the crimes we're going to put forward, and hopefully, all going well, we'll be able to bring them account. But like I said, a lot of things get sorted out with our constitution and our laws because it becomes unlawful. It becomes completely unlawful. I mean, at the moment, we're getting a lot of people who are shouting about no more wars. Well, I'll tell you this. Under the constitution, it's unlawful. They need the backing of the people. So unless they get the backing of the people, they can't go to war. This is how we stop wars, people. The whole Commonwealth can stand up and stop wars.
That's where our country in the Commonwealth is unique, because we have that power. We are governed by consent under the Constitution. Get it back. Yep. Please lose the fear. That's all you need to do. Just lose the fear. It's invigorating when you lose the fear, because once you lose the fear, they have no power over you, ladies and gentlemen. Like me and Nathan, they've got no power over me and Nathan, because it doesn't matter what they do or how much they ban us or put us in prison or whatever. We ain't never going to stop, because we don't fear them. And that's what they fear the most. They fear people going into 61 and doing this lawfully and peacefully more than anything else in the world, because you're giving them no angles.
Yep, there's nothing they can use against us. Exactly, they can't stop it. There is nothing within their arsenal they can use to stop us from doing this, because our right under 61 overrides everything.
Yeah, whereas when you rebel on the streets and you start smashing stuff up, you give them the power to put things in place to stop you doing that. So
That's
it's so
exactly it.
simple, lawful and peaceful, all the way. Let's put these behind bars, all of them, where they deserve to be, for what the
Yep.
treasonous scumbags they are.
Yep. That's what we need to do.
Simple.
So please, people, understand the power you hold. Understand the
Yeah,
power you hold,
yeah,
because it's within each and every single one of us. We are all. Everybody is the same. Everybody is the same. It is only the illusions that you are taught that people are above you, like judges, the Queen, things. It's only the illusion that's indoctrinated into you through education that does that. When you find out the truth and you live in the truth, you'll find, like Gary says, it's invigorating, because you are living lawfully, you are living right and just. And that is something they don't want, because they want us to continue to commit crimes with them. And by the way, voting is committing treason, because you are consenting to everything they do in the next 4 years. So stop committing treason. Stop going along with these people. They're going to take everything anyway. Most of the people listening to this, and most of the people that are on to 61 and solutions, are going to understand that the fourth industrial revolution is in full swing, and that you've got the slogan, you will own nothing and you will be happy. So I'll say this to all these people. You may be scared of doing this because you think you're going to lose everything. Well, you're going to lose everything anyway. So isn't this worth a try? Isn't this worth trying this? Just to stop your
once
kids
you've gone
losing
into
everything.
61, they cannot come with their bullshit of by 2030 you'll own nothing but be happy in your country, because you're all going to be standing sovereign people all together under Article 61 that says, I don't fucking think so.
So right, we'll leave it there. And as Gary says, the next
Yeah.
one we're gonna talk through the lawful rebellion process in detail. We'll also talk about some other things, like with voting, about the representation of the People's Act, which is actually what binds you, which is what actually allows them to prosecute you and extort money out of you and other bits. And we'll have a little chat about that. We're going to do a few videos about this. So
You've got to start
right,
being more active here, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
It's teaching you rights.
So leave it there. Right. Thank you for everyone who tuned in, and thank you for everybody who listens to this after. Please take this on board, and please, for our children's sake, for the future of our children, our grandchildren, and future generations, act now before it's too late.
Yeah, we need to do it. And pass it round and show others, because it's not a joke. This can be done. Anyway, see you, Nathan. See you, ladies and gentlemen. Love every single one of you, and we only do it. You might think we get a bit angry in that sometimes, but it's only passion, because we love our children, and we don't want anything to happen to them. We don't want them to be enslaved. So we're passionate. But that's all it is. It's not against you personally. We're trying to shake you into action, trying to flick that switch that gives you the courage, because that's all it's going to take. But I'll leave it there now, because we'll start again on somewhere else.
All right. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. We'll leave it there. Good night. Stay safe, and I'll see you in 61.
Yeah.
Night, everyone.
See you later. Bye bye.